Hi, and welcome to Tech Talks, the Banker's video series on everything fintech. I'm Joy Macknight, technology editor at The Banker, and we're here at Innovate Finance Global Summit with Niels Turfboer, who's Managing Director of Benelux and the UK at Spotcap, which is an online lending platform. Thanks very much for joining us today, Niels.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell me a little bit about some of the challenges that small enterprises and entrepreneurs face when they're trying to raise funds?
Yeah, of course. I think a lot has happened in the recent years, but if you really dig down deep in the research that's been done into SMEs, I think one of the key problems is that they still have difficulty finding the appropriate way of financing. I think UK specific, 50% of the SMEs still encounters trouble to finding the correct form of finance, and I think what we're addressing is amongst a lot of solutions, one of the solutions for them to find the appropriate form of finance easier.
Okay, so how does Spotcap actually support that segment?
Well, basically what we do, we're a very traditional finance company, but we're using technology to, first of all, put the customer centric in our business model. And secondly, we're looking towards where is there an additional need. There's a lot of finance players in the UK. What we're doing is unsecured finance, which basically is very appropriate to co-finance together with more traditional finance companies.
And do you think it's becoming more difficult for fintechs, let's say, to find financing in this environment?
Not per se. What I do think is that if you look at the geopolitical changes that have happened recently, and Brexit for one, I think that together with the combination that a lot of the people, the VCs that invested in fintech, after the initial maybe sort of hype was gone, they're evaluating their portfolio. So yes, in general, I do think it's a little bit more difficult to get finance, but overall I still see a very strong appetite for investors to invest in this part of the economy.
Okay, and you had a career in the more traditional banking space. Yes. What made you move across to the fintech area?
I think first and foremost it starts with what I wanted out of my career. I always had an entrepreneurial spirit, but I grew up with ABN AMRO, one of the Dutch banks. And when I grew up there, at least professionally, one of their key mottos was, you're an entrepreneur within boundaries. So there was a lot of space to not only learn a lot, but also to be a little bit entrepreneurial. Obviously post-crisis, when ABN AMRO was broken up in 3 pieces, became state-owned, a lot of that disappeared, and that was a natural moment for me to actually go for full entrepreneurship. I learned a lot, and that was obviously a good moment. I did an international MBA, focused on entrepreneurship, and after that, fintech loomed.
And London's historically been sort of a global fintech hub. Do you think there's going to be other European cities that might be able to rival London in that sense?
Look, who knows? However, I do feel I'm seeing a lot of the fintech hubs in Europe as well as I'm living and working here in London. It's a big leap to say. It's still a very much unparalleled fintech hub in Europe, and yes, there's other hubs like there's Paris and there's Berlin, but Berlin, for instance, is much more tech, much more e-commerce. There's a lot of finance missing in that part, and the sheer size of the industry in London it's massive. That will not change overnight. So to come back to my initial answer, who knows? But I personally don't think it will happen.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Niels.
Thanks for having me.